The Philadelphia Eagles, they continue to add to the safety room. Today, they signed former Pittsburgh Steelers safety and current now Philadelphia Eagles safety, Terrell Edmunds. This is a name I've heard mentioned quite a few times by you guys. I know a few of you were pretty high on Terrell Edmunds now for a couple of seasons, to be quite honest. Big dude. I remember him playing in the ACC at Virginia Tech. I know he played high school ball out in Virginia. His brothers played ball. His father was a former, I think, Pro Bowl tight end. I mean, lineage is there. All right, y'all. Let's talk about the signing. What's up, Cerebral Football fans? My name is Steven Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Channel. I think the best way to describe Terrell Edmunds right from the jump, guys, is just say, you know when they say, like, there's the, there's this idea of the athletic trait guy, the height, weight, trait athlete? That's Terrell Edmunds, guys. I mean, the dude came in at the combine and measured in at like 6 foot 1-ish, 220 pounds, had 32 and 3/4 inch arm reach, almost 33 inch arm reach for a safety, and then had a 79 inch wingspan. Right away, you're probably thinking, like, I mean, he's got the kind of range, Steve, that kind of like body length that you would look for to maybe match up on some taller slot receivers and some tight ends. And that's true. But truth be told, you got to keep in mind, when you match up against those type of dudes, when you are definitely getting more of the bulk of those type of reps, it's going to affect your grading. Like, that's the thing that always bothers me about grading, is just be careful with that stuff, because the matchup you're drawing is going to dictate, if you're on the quarter side of the defense, so say you're on a cover 6 side of a defense to where one side's playing quarters and you're the quarter safety while the other guy's playing the cover 2 concept and is just over the top, you're more likely to be graded lower on a consistent basis, to be quite honest. So, Terrell Edmunds, what can I tell you about him in terms of the athletic measurements? Like, what did this dude come out in college? What did he look like? A great athlete, guys. I mean, put up a 4.47 40. I know full 40s aren't really that useful, so I'll give you the splits, guys. A 1.5810 split, so think the upper third of, safeties in the NFL. A 2.64 20 split, 41.5 inch vertical with 134 inch broad jump. That's a really, really good athlete, especially for a dude that's 220 pounds, man. Like, that's a heck of a testing number, to be honest there. What I was kind of shocked at is while I'm not a huge fan of coverage grades, I normally give them to you guys because it's an impartial viewpoint, right? It's people outside the situation giving their opinions. It's not an individual. But, I mean, he graded out better in coverage than I thought he would. They graded him like 42nd overall from what I can see from PFF with a 68 grade, if you go take a look at that. On the year, he gave up 24 of 37 passes for a 64.9% completion rate. I'm always a little skeptical of these numbers, guys. Always view these things with a little air of skepticism, because you really have to understand the coverage principles and then the assignment within the coverage principle to adequately say who got beat on what play. And I think sometimes in zone systems, there's, sometimes the dude that's just nearest is getting penalized for that, no matter what. 5 forced incompletions, 14% forced incompletion rate. Once again, that big, large frame body coming into play, guys. 4 pass breakups. No interceptions. Let's hope in Philly with our system, with the pass rush, with quarterbacks potentially making mistakes, hopefully that can help a guy like this maybe make a play or two, come away with an interception or 2 on the season. The thing that's probably the most alarming is if you looked at his NFL passer rating. His NFL passer rating was 132.4. I filtered that for you guys just to see. In terms of all the safeties that played at least 20% of the highest number of snaps, so you just filter out the dudes that barely played. That ranked as the 10th highest. I mean, he gave up the 10th highest NFL passer rating to quarterbacks. With that said, if you want something to feel good about, even though that is the 10th highest, like I said before, guys, understand sometimes it matters who you're covering on the field, which side of the field you're playing to. If you're playing that quarters concept or the cover 2 concept, like in a cover 6 situation. Like, I mean, there's some things here that matter about that type of thing. But also, I mean, Marcus Epps ranked number 2 overall. He gave up the 2nd highest NFL passer ratings to quarterback with 145.3. So it is kind of an improvement if you're only solely looking at the numbers and not the film. I mean, I would still highly advise guys to go, if you have access to PFF, look at his best graded games and look at his worst graded games. Take, 2 of his highest graded games and 2 of his lowest graded games and run the film on them. If you got NFL Game Pass, go ahead and run the film on that, and you'll get an idea of exactly how he's playing. You'll get to see the coverage concepts, all that. And we'll do that later on during the summer, guys. We'll look at some of these guys closer on the film. His run defense. I mean, this is what I really knew Terrell Edmunds for, was a physical football player. He actually ranked out 53rd. And I was like, man, I would have thought he would have been higher than that. But then I felt a lot more comfortable because, like, Hufanga was ranked 51st. Harrison Smith was ranked 52nd. Rayshawn Jenkins from Jacksonville was ranked 56. Those dudes are all really good run defenders. So I'm going to say, like, yeah, you could say the grade's the grade, Steve. You can't backtrack on grades. But I'm just going to say that maybe there's some context maybe not being included into some of this grading, to be quite honest. Overall, he had 11 defensive stops, which worked out to a 3.2% defensive stop rate. And just to do some numbers on in terms of like the safety room we have currently. So currently, we have Terrell Edmunds, we have Reed Blankenship, Justin Evans, and Kevon Wallace. All right, guys, let's take a look at things like your average depth of tackle. So this is what I think is really unique about the safeties we have on here. Justin Evans had the 4th shortest average depth of tackle from the safety position at 2.9 yards. He plays pretty physical for a guy that's already around 200 pounds. 21st, Reed Blankenship, who's just slightly over 200 pounds. 5.6 yards, average depth of tackle. And then 33rd, Terrell Edmunds, 6.7. It makes me wonder exactly what they're envisioning here in the safety room, right? I mean, I'm curious to see when we get 3 or 4 games into the season and I get a chance to really break down the coverage principles they're using. I'm wondering how are we going to see a slight adjustment from the safety position. I will say when I broke down the film on Sean Desai, if you guys go back to that original video, I did talk about, I felt like by watching the film, it felt like he was playing his defensive backfield was coming up more to contribute to the box when compared to Jonathan Gannon. That was one thing I did kind of highlight. So I'm wondering if we're going to see a changing of the guard there. In terms of stops, Reed Blankenship, in terms of stop percentage, was number 1. He was the number 1 graded safety with 7%. 9 stops for 7%, no missed tackles. The number 19th graded safety, Justin Evans, 5 stops for a 4% stop rate, only 1 missed tackle. And the 36th graded safety was Terrell Edmunds with 11 stops for a 3.2% stop rate, 6 missed tackles. This definitely feels like we're going to see more of a physical presence from the safety room personally. That's what it feels like to me here. And then just because I know you guys really liked when I broke down the impact stats. So impact plays, we're using Barrett Brooks' definition, former NFL player, what he called an impact play, which is any tackle that occurs from 3 yards to negative plays. All right, you got to make the stop before the ball gets over 3 yards to be considered an impact play. Impact plays on the season. Both the safeties that we have leaving, so C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps both had 14 to be fair about this. However, Terrell Edmunds had 13, so we're only talking a one play difference. And then you look at a guy like Justin Evans, who only played 129 run-stop snaps, is what they clocked him for on PFF. He had 6. Reed Blankenship only played 128 graded snaps, according to PFF. He had 5. And then Kevon Wallace, I didn't really look at Kevon Wallace's snap total, but I would take a wild guess, guys. It's going to be probably a little bit below even Justin Evans and Reed Blankenship, but certainly not that much more than it if I'm wrong. He had 5. So you got Justin Evans with 6, Reed Blankenship with 5, Kevon Wallace with 5, and Terrell Edmunds with 13. These guys aren't afraid to come up and play the box. These guys are not afraid to hit that we have on the roster right now from the safety position. This is a little different, right? I mean, Marcus Epps was no sucker, bro. Marcus Epps will come down and hit. I'm not going to take that away from Marcus Epps at all. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was far more active around the line of scrimmage than I thought. I mean, to be fair to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I think sometimes people think C.J. Gardner-Johnson is like a 180-pound defensive back, and it depends on how much you believe the weigh-ins that the teams give you, but they had the dude listed at 210 pounds. So he wasn't nearly as small as people were saying, but I don't know how accurate these, you're taking the word of the organization, guys. I don't know how accurate it is. With that said, Terrell Edmunds, what do you guys think? I mean, you're in a situation where I don't think they love the safety class. I'm not saying they won't draft a guy. I still think that it's very possible that with these one-year contracts, you're not excluding yourself. I mean, if your board has a safety as the highest graded player where you're at, and the organization likes that guy, I don't think any of these one-year contracts with Justin Evans and Terrell Edmunds are going to preclude you from doing that. I mean, even Kevon Wallace, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Kevon in the 4th year of a 4-year contract as well? So you only really got an undrafted rookie free agent out there in Reed Blankenship. So, I mean, I don't think it precludes you from doing anything, right? I don't think this would stop the Eagles from still drafting a safety. It's just a matter of how they feel about the class. But I would certainly say that they're creating insurance policies. I mean, this is, to me, a very obvious insurance policy move. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. Leave your comments down below, and I'll see y'all on the next video.